أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum. Quran Weekly. I'd like to share with you yet another reminder, this one particular to those of you that are involved in any sort of Islamic activity. You're volunteering at a Sunday school, at an Islamic school, you're helping out at the MSA, you're working in a youth group, you're helping put a conference together or bringing educational programs to your community, you're trying to help with a soup kitchen or a humanitarian cause, you're running a halaqah for the youth, etc., etc., etc. There's so many activities that many of you are involved in, and you're doing them for the sake of Islam. It also includes learning the deen and attending courses and things like that. But we are learning all this stuff, and a lot of times, you know what happens? And I speak from personal experience. A lot of times what happens is we get caught up in these activities, and there's a deeply widening and gaping spiritual hole inside of us. We're doing all this stuff, but our prayers have become empty, and you don't enjoy reciting Quran. And you're, in your downtime, you're addicted to like entertainment, and you can't help but watch movie after movie after movie, or watch video after video after video on YouTube, like you're watching now. Or, but I'm saying, stuff to entertain yourself, or video game after video game, and you can't help yourself. You're caught in this cycle where every time you're by yourself, you're doing this stuff that you hate yourself for, and you know that you should be doing something better with your time. You just can't get yourself to do it. You're trying to just pick up the Quran and start reciting, you just don't do it. And you're so busy volunteering, and you're tied up in all this stuff, that even the most amazing, courses and stuff like that, you've been at all of them, but you haven't listened to anything, because you're helping out, and may Allah reward you for helping out, but you have other needs also. There's this spiritual hole that needs to be fulfilled, that void needs to be filled. So there are two kinds of services in this deen. There are services you provide for others, for the sake of Allah, you serve the community, you serve a good cause. Then there are things you do in this deen to make yourself a better person. And you have to have a balance between both of these things. The ayah I recited to you was a complaint Allah made to the children of Israel. He said, do you command people to good? أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ. You people command others to good, to doing good. وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. And you forget yourselves. وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ. And you're the ones that actually read the book. In other words, clearly the person who runs the halaqah, the one who's knowledgeable, the one who does the activities, they're more knowledgeable, and they're the ones telling other people to do good. What about you? What about you when you're by yourself? You forget so easily. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Why don't you get it? Why don't you understand? And so then Allah gives a remedy. If that's your problem, if in your public life you become very active, not to show off, sincerely active even, but in your private life, you've just completely been devoid of spirituality and khushu' in the prayer, then what should you do? وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ. Number one, seek help from perseverance and patience. Be firm, be tough with yourself. Perseverance, part of the meaning really is being tough with yourself. Get yourself up and pray. Force yourself to turn that thing off and go recite some Quran or memorize some ayat, or do some ibadah, make some dua, memorize a new dua or two. Force yourself to do this, sabr. And then he says, was-salah, and seek help with the prayer. The prayer is supposed to help you get out of this problem. You see, when Allah says seek help, there's a problem for which you seek help. The problem was in the previous ayah. You tell people to do good, you forget about yourself. And Allah says to help you out of that problem, you turn to prayer. You turn to the salah. Now, specifically to the brothers, I want to give some very practical advice. I don't have to, there are many spiritual exercises in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, many adhkar, many practices at higher and higher levels. Fasting every Monday and Thursday, and and tahajjud prayer, and ishraq, and all of these things. But before you talk about any of that stuff, let me just give you some very practical advice, guys, seriously. If you can just make it to Fajr and Isha at the masjid, and you can do so for a month, 2 months, 3 months regularly without missing a single one, you've addressed your spiritual problem for the most part. The way you feel after you come back from the masjid, after praying Fajr, you will know that feeling. It cannot be argued with you, it cannot give you evidences for it. You yourself will be the witness that something has changed about me. Something is different. Especially Fajr. And don't miss Isha. And I say these two because of course the Prophet's promise, alayhi salatu wasalam, that if you can catch both of those, it is as though you were in worship the entire night. You know? So start with that. Start with the essential. And then, we'll work our way up. But if you can establish these two things, seriously you will find a huge, huge change in the way you feel about the deen, the way you're connecting with Allah, the way you feel really that Allah is listening to your supplications, your du'as when you're asking them. But start with that, inshaAllah ta'ala. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's no God but Allah. La ilaha illallah Muhammad al-Mustafa. Muhammad is his messenger.